Have you ever wondered the inspiration behind pursuing a career in healthcare? Well, wonder no more. With me, I have stories from health professionals which I'll be sharing with you. So stay tuned. Hi guys, welcome to Health Pro Chronicles, a podcast where untold stories of health professionals from diverse backgrounds come to life. I am your host Harriet Apioi, and I'll be sharing experiences from these unsung heroes within the realms of laboratories, boards, and hospitals. If you're a health professional with a story, kindly click on the link in my bio. Do remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's dive in. On today's episode of Health Pro Chronicles, the question is, what inspired you to pursue a career in healthcare? Well, here are the responses. This response from Optoglory reads, as a secondary school teenage girl, I was still having problems deciding what course to study in the university. Yes, I loved medical courses, but I didn't know where exactly to go into. Fast forward to one Wednesday morning. I woke up with red, swollen eyes and cloudy vision. I could barely see. Jesus Christ, I shouted. My mom rushed me to the nearest eye clinic then, Chelsea Eye Clinic. I had taken Fancida, an anti-malarial drug the previous week, and this was my reaction to the medication. The doctor was so warm and did what he knew best, giving me some eye drops and tablets. I was so scared I was going to lose my vision, I took my medication judiciously. 2 days later, I woke up with a better vision and red eyes gradually resolving. Wow! Everything began to make sense. What magic! This was the beginning of my interest in optometry. I said, Mommy, I want to also help others gain back their visual freedom. I want to do this thing Dr. Uzoma did to my eyes that made it better. I want to become an eye doctor. This was the beginning of my dream to become an optometrist. 8 years later, I was inducted into the optometry profession. This is what inspired the Optoglory you see today. Nice, right? This entry from Anonymous reads, nothing inspired me. I actually wanted to be an art student. In SS1 first term, the school kept me in science class, but we had the choice to switch to our desired class in the second term. I wanted to switch to art class because there's a dramatic part of me, so I wanted to be an actress or the president. But my parents, especially my mom, made a statement that I'm grateful for. Because fast forward to the future, it's always true. Later in the future, science students will find jobs easily. That's what she said. So I remained in science class. I had no challenge being a science student. I'm the kind of person wherever I am, I'll do well. Though chemistry raised its ugly head. I had never heard of the biomedical sciences profession before, but my dad chose it, nursing too, when I was to write JAM. I just went along with it because, if I was to be honest, I had no idea what I wanted to study in the university as a science student. Though I later found my passion in 200 level, which is psychology or counseling, I still look forward to studying this. I must confess, I have no regrets with the decisions my parents made for me. God used them to mold my destiny. They are actually my number one destiny helpers. This response from Chinedu reads, my inspiration is dual. One, my mother is a nurse and of course she played a major role as any Nigerian parents would on their kids. I visited her frequently at her place of work and I grew fond of the environment. I also spent most of my time assisting her with patient care. That was how I developed passion for helping individuals in distress. Secondly, I have always been an inquisitive individual from way back. My parents, teachers, and priests knew that about me. I always loved to seek the truth. What caused this? Why was it done? Is there another way it could be done? Is this the entire fact about this issue? What could be done to prevent it from happening again? Yeah, I know, thinkers will always be referred to as nerds. I grew up seeing movies. I developed passion for scientific fictional movies. I saw I had a lot in common with those guys in the medic field. So it wasn't really tough for me saying, yeah, this is where I belong. This response from Ruth reads, I would say right from the onset, I knew I wanted to offer care to people. I was drawn to the medical line. I loved the way doctors, not all though, treated patients with care and made them feel better. I just resonated with it and that was all I ever wanted. In fact, I even planned on owning a hospital named Ruth, like from Lutz. If you know, you know. My dad, however, preferred nursing for me as a profession. But I hated nurses due to their attitude, and as a child, we all felt all nurses are wicked. so I'd have done anything to be far from it. I'd say my main inspiration was my fascination with how one could understand the human body and know what to do to ease pain. That really was top for me. I was in 300 level medicine preparing for my MBBS when my school had issues with accreditation, and the closest course to medicine for me that I could relate to was MLS. That's why I'm here now and killing it. But in my next life, Omo, I don't want to save life. Just kidding though. This response from Collins read: At an early age, I visited a clinic with my mom to see an uncle of mine who was really ill. I was amazed seeing how he was being cared for. Out of curiosity, I held the hands of a lanky-looking man who was trying to draw blood sample, and he was so subtle about the whole process, despite the fact that my uncle was really in pain. That experience was intriguing. I kept visiting my uncle at the clinic, not because I wanted to check up on him, but because I wanted to keep observing all that was being done to him. That single encounter made me more curious and led me to pursue a career in healthcare. This entry from Anonymous reads: Growing up as a child, I wanted to be a doctor. My motivation was from a family friend who was a doctor, and also he was rich. But then I failed physics but met the cutoff mark for medicine and surgery in Unilag, and I cried. Long story short, I sat for WAEC again, and this time I picked AU. Worst mistake. AU, after all my writings, gave me botany. My parents and I said, lie. I studied SLT in a polytechnic ND and I loved it. It was giving me medicine vibes too. And I had an opportunity to do my IT in a lab where I understood the difference between SLT and MLS. And I was like, okay, MLS will be a second option for me. I attended a private university after my ND, picked medicine and surgery again, and I was told they were not admitting students for medicine that year. Well, I just knew God had better plans for me, and then I just picked my MLS, and it's been an amazing journey so far. This response from Usher reads: I wrote JAM in 2007 and scored 196. I filled Unipen, AAU, Egoma, and Delsa as my first, second, and third choices respectively, medicine and surgery in all. Having scored 196, I had met the cutoff mark for both AAU and Delsu, but considering several factors, I opted to wait for another year. Fast forward to 2008, I wrote JAM again, same institutions, same course, only this time I scored 201. Now I had the cutoff mark I wanted, but there was a new problem. This wasn't the cutoff mark needed to gain admission. I needed at least 70 marks in my post-UTME to be considered for medicine and surgery in Uniben then. This was mission impossible. I was not ready to take that risk or sit at home for another year. So I spoke to my dad, who sent me to his boss, a PhD lecturer at Uniben and whose wife was also a lecturer in medical biochemistry. They basically discovered MLS for me. It was in a JAM brochure, but I had no idea what the course was about. For us, it was either medicine for men or nursing for women we knew existed as medical professions. It was a new course going into its second year in Uniben. I read about it and I was sold on. I was now determined to study this new profession I just discovered. I did a change of form from medicine and surgery to medical laboratory science, and that, my friends, was how the journey began in January 2009 as a student of MLS. This response from Anonymous reads: Basically, I grew up in a setting where everyone loved to become a medical doctor because of how smart doctors looked whenever they were kitted up. But along the line, I discovered it was a bit difficult trying to get admission into the university. I then thought of doing something similar to what doctors do. I think I have always had a desire to help people, more like giving health advice to people. I also had a strong interest in science, biology, and medicine often serves as a foundation for individuals pursuing careers in healthcare. The desire to understand the human body, its functions, and the mechanisms of diseases can drive individuals to become healthcare professionals. I lost my dad to blood cancer at a very tender age, and I told myself that I should try to find a cure for cancer. I am so sorry for your loss, but I must ask, have you found a cure to cancer yet? This response from Anonymous reads: Growing up, I had always wanted to be a petrochemical engineer, but somehow I fell in love with chemistry after several studies and movies in my secondary school days, so I concluded that I would study biochemistry. Before I gained admission into the university, I was opportune to stay in university premises for a while. I noticed something unusual. A friend to my cousins in 300 level was teaching some final year students malaria in his room. It was such a fascinating scene that I couldn't help but ask him what he was studying. He said, medical laboratory science. After explaining the various specialties to me, I made my findings about the course online and I finally found where I was heading because the chemistry I was chasing was at its prettiest compared to biochemistry. I changed my course I initially registered with JAM from biochemistry to medical laboratory science, and the rest is history. I think I'll name this sender Lyrical Anonymous. What do you think? This response from Zipporah reads, from childhood, I wanted to be an accountant because I loved the way they dressed up in their white and black. When I started my senior year in high school, I fell in love with science and of course I was good at it. My mom got me a form for a medical school in Jos and I was introduced to the medical laboratory science in my year 2. My lecturers were intelligent, they made the course exciting. This pushed me to want to know more. During my posting, I had the opportunity to interface with different people directly and indirectly. I saw the way different specialties and people from different backgrounds work together to benefit the patient. That inspired me. There's this satisfaction I get when a patient walks into my facility and I'm able to contribute to the diagnosis. That sense of relevance in making a difference in someone's life for me is the greatest gift of all. This response from Kevin reads, I had interest in building as that was what I had applied for during JAM. However, I didn't get the admission as expected, so instead of waiting for 1 year to pass, I decided to apply for anything I could lay my hands on. I tried a couple of other institutions, but one particular one stood out. I remember saying to myself, this is the one. When I visited the school facility in MVRI, the scenery of the environment stood out. With the fresh breath of unfiltered oxygen continuously emitted from the beautiful trees and flowers around a very clean and organized surrounding. I could see a lot of young students on lab coats around classroom and lecture theatres. I wanted to be one of them. Everything about MVRI seemed obodo-ibo then. I wanted to study in that environment. I was confident I was going to get the admission, and guess what? I did. I didn't know what it was I was going to be studying, but the idea of medical laboratory technology seemed very tush, and that was how I got in. Building a career in the laboratory space expanded as I soon developed caregiving skills. After graduation, I had vaccinated a good number of my friends and neighbors in church against hepatitis B. The rewarding feeling of being part of the healthcare system, being part of something greater than me, was what kept me going. I loved every bit of it. This response from Bryson reads, firstly, I've always loved anything health. I recall growing up, when my siblings would fall ill, I wanted to take care of them. I remember always using hot water in towel to bathe them when they were sick. So healthcare was a natural for me. I loved science subjects too, especially biology. I wanted to see what science was really all about. So it just made sense for me to want to go into healthcare. I passed the respective exams in WAEC and JAM, and thank God we're here now. This response from Esther reads, I'll say passion. From my childhood days, I always loved taking care of people, and the healthcare system was my go-to place to make that reality come true. The second reason was mainly sci-fi movies, especially forensic roles, that tailored my choice to MLS. This last response from Victor reads, as a little boy in primary 5 or 6, I acted a drama where I played the role of medical personnel who traveled overseas and I just got back. I remember wearing a suit in glass, those professor's type, and a stethoscope was given to me. I enjoyed playing that role. My classmates and teachers started calling me doctor. Growing up, I had keen interest in matters concerning the human body, the human existence, and issues affecting the human body. I developed a love for integrated science and biology. My first attempt at JAM, my elder brother, who is an engineer, wanted me to study engineering, following his footsteps. I could barely speak to him boldly due to the age difference between us, but while filling the JAM form, I stood up to him, saying, if you choose engineering, you'll write the JAM, attend the school, and study the course all by yourself. Victor, you were bold. At this point, I was expecting a slap. He was calm though and agreed, and when asked which course in particular, I said, any medical course. I attempted JAM twice and was offered an admission, but I rejected both because it wasn't what I wanted. I finally gained admission to study medical laboratory science. It was the most joyous day of my life when I saw the admission offer. The inspiration has always been in it, which started from my primary school days after playing that role as a medical personnel. You won't believe I still have the pictures of me in that outfit. I have found joy and fulfillment in pursuing a career in healthcare. Dear Victor, can you please share that picture with me? I would really love to see how you looked then. So guys, we've come to the end of this episode of Health Pro Chronicles. I don't know about you, but I sure did enjoy it. I hope you did too. Thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. If you're a Health Pro with a story, connect with me via the link in my bio. Until next time, I remain your host, Harriet at your high. Bye guys.